Yeah. I love that.
Love it.
It's Mojo in the Morning Show. So Megan went to a show at Pine Knob, and a medical emergency happened in the middle of the show, which is crazy. What do they do when this happens?
Well, it was crazy because the show that we went to see was a stand-up comedy show. So it wasn't like a concert where it was super loud. You could yell out and get the attention of the guy on stage. And we are 2 acts into this comedy show, and you just hear this screaming from like tons of people all at once in a way that was like, something is wrong right now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, before I get into this, I think this is not going to be the most shocking news in the world. I don't have a lot of faith in humanity in general. I don't see the world as being the most positive to each other. And I really appreciate those moments of just like seeing humanity in its rawest form of like taking care of each other. And this was one of those moments. So the people are screaming, doctor, we need a doctor right now. And the guy on stage, you could tell he's a club comedian because he was like, bouncer? I'm like, we're at Pine Knob. What bouncers are we? Have security, but in a club, bouncers make sense. And he thinks there's like a fight breaking out, and there's people screaming, "No, doctor!" And the entire crowd went from like talking about like, what? Why are people shouting out? What's going on? To as soon as we all heard "doctor," you could have heard a pin drop in Pine Knob.
Really?
Everybody went silent, and it was crazy. Because I was pretty far away from where the incident had happened. It was genuinely like in the middle of the theater, like pretty much dead center in the middle of the row, everything, this incident had occurred. And I'm kind of off to the side. It was so quiet. I could hear like the medics talking. Not exactly what they were saying, but like you could hear their quiet mumbled voices. Yeah. And I was blown away. Like the comedian walked off stage because he didn't want to be a distraction. And they halted the show for like 10 minutes. And they were doing announcements like, please, thank you for staying as quiet as you are, whatever. We'll keep you updated on what the plan is moving forward. Let's let the medics get out of here. They had to bring a stretcher and get this woman out of there on stretcher. I don't know. What are the comedians later on? They all were praising us. Like every comedian had said, listen, things happen at comedy shows. We've seen a lot of things. We've never seen a group this large get this quiet and be super helpful for the person in the medical need. But somebody said, one of the comedians was like, she had because of that heart issue. So I'm wondering if she had a heart attack or something. Oh, God, I don't know what happened, but it was so wonderful to see people work together to make sure she got her help.
Is it Maha?
Yes, it is.
Maha was there and right by where it happened. What happened, Maha?
Yes, so actually I was sitting with my daughter right behind her, and her friend next to her just suddenly screamed out, "We need a doctor." And I looked at the lady who was like literally right in front of me. She had passed out. Her head was, hanging backward. I'm not a doctor. I'm a dentist. But, hey, I know what to do, so I jumped in. I literally jumped over the seat to get to her, and she was completely passed out. So first thing I did is just kind of see if she was alert. She was not. And then the second thing I did, I put my ear to her mouth, and I heard her breathing. So right there I knew she should be okay. We just got to get her off the chair and lay her flat into the aisle. And then, other people were there all willing to help. And then I couldn't do it. I'm not that big and strong. So then this one man, he came in, and I think he also said, I'm a doctor too. So between me and him, we picked her up and we put her on the aisle. But I mean, everyone was quiet. The whole entire Pine Knob was standing up worried, but there was, like someone said, like a pin could drop. But then it was so quick that EMS was there. But then she was on the floor. She was already waking up. So thankfully everything was okay. She was breathing. She was awake. And I think she kind of wanted to stay for this show.
Oh, gee, wow, yeah. Yeah, I paid for it. I want to stay for it. How do you get funny after something like that?
I felt so bad. So they had a host of the show. The show that I went to go see was Nate Bargatze, who's incredible. And if you've never seen him before, he is by far First of all, he's a clean comedian. I didn't even realize that until I saw his third stand-up set. Like, that's how funny he is. You can't even... Usually with clean comedians, you can be like, these are kind of silly, funny jokes for the family. You would not know with him. So they had a host, and then this is like the first opener of the night, was the guy who is on stage. And I felt so bad for him coming back on. I was like, you can't recover from that. It's not funny. And it was in the middle of his set. So, like, you were setting stuff up for the end game to wrap up at the end. Do you do that? It was, I was heartbroken.
Thank you, by the way, for the details on that. We appreciate it.
Can your quick action?
We were on that flight coming back from Las Vegas. And on the flight, they said, is there any medical professionals to the back of the plane? Medical professionals to the back of the plane. And I'm looking, nobody's getting up. And I'm like, man, this is kind of crazy. And then finally one guy did get up. And then I looked to the back and there's a few people that were already there. Is it bad for me to say this, though? Because we were over like Des Moines, Iowa. And all I kept thinking to myself was, God, please just make it so that we can go to Detroit and not have to like go to Chicago and bear out.
I was sitting there all the time. I think that's a very normal thought.
And with your being at Pine Knob for this comedy show.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, are you just saying, oh, God, just please, just get this person out of here.
Get him out of here. No,
take him out.
I'm always curious in these situations because you take a medical oath to help people.
Yeah.
But like, at what point are you held liable too?
This is always, I wonder this because I was in a situation where I was at like a coffee breakfast place and there was actually a pretty famous doctor who was in there.
Really?
And a lady, I told the story on the air. And a lady
Sanjay Gupta?
And a lady passed out and was on the ground and said doctor didn't do a dang thing. And I thought, okay, so there must be some sort of
Is it
liability.
Dr. Phil?
I am not saying who it was.
Dr. Phil's not really
you do
a
know
doctor.
who it was.
Aren't there good Samaritan laws too? Like if you're a doctor and you're doing your best, like they can't sue you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so curious.
Bro was trying to finish his bagel.
Because if they're protected.
It was Eminem. I need a doctor. Call me a doctor.
If you're protected by Good Samaritan laws or whatever it is, and you don't do anything and you sit there eating your meal, you're the worst person ever.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you, Megan. If this person, so say you're there and one of your four people that you're with, you got four friends or three friends, right? You and another. And one of your friends does this and the EMS has to take that person to the hospital.
Bro.
Do you stay at the show and let the EMS take them and then just go to the hospital afterwards?
So it was just my brother and I at the show, and this person who was escorted out by EMS had like 10 people with them, and they all left with her, right? Like there was a big group of people that left. And I was asking my brother, I was like, we were going to invite some friends of ours. I was like, if they were with us, would you ask them to come? Absolutely not. What are you going to do? They're going to do testing on me and take me in the back for a couple of hours before you can even come in and visit. Enjoy the show. Bring the car with you when you come visit me in the hospital.
Oh, I couldn't enjoy the show.
No,
my friend was in the hospital.
I'm going to say this. I'm calling BS on Megan on this one. Because you know for a fact, if we all were there and Megan had to get rushed to the hospital and we didn't show up, she would have felt like she was the stepsister. Yeah,
well, you'll do that on a regular day around here anyway, so what's the big deal?
You get mad at us if you have, a booger hanging out of your nose and nobody tells you.
Yeah, because you'll film it and then put it on social media. That's why I get mad.
I'm telling you.
Let's put the full context in here.
I'm telling you this. If I collapse and fall down and I am on my way to the hospital and you a-holes don't ride in the back of that, ambulance, I almost forgot what the hell it's called. An ambulance.
Are you okay?
Then I might have one. Maybe I'm having one of those moments. What's going on, Sydney? Hi.
Hi. When you take CPR, this was kind of about the Good Samaritan thing. Every time I've ever taken it, they've said, like, here's CPR. Don't ever do it because people can sue you for, like, their broken ribs and all that stuff. So there are laws, but basically you're kind of screwed if you use it.
Yeah. I know nothing. Gina, what's going on?
So I was just going to caveat to that the brief scenario is I stopped at an accident that had occurred, that someone was ejected out of a car that she had been test driving, and I thought it was an animal, but I stopped and realized, and I'm a nurse, long-winded story is that several days later, I had all her family members calling me asking, did she say anything? Because she passed. She ended up dying.
Oh,
Did she say anything? What was her last words? What did she look like? I didn't realize that there was a police report made, of course, but my name was on it because they asked, because I was present and attended to her in a medical perspective, but didn't realize that they can just access your name and information and call you up.
that's crazy.
Because it's public information, right?
By the way, I could listen to you tell a story anytime. I was driving down the street and an object just flew out of the back of the car, the automobile.
The vehicle.
That is unbelievable. Your vocabulary is fantastic. What are you doing listening to this show?
Stop it. You guys are very well educated. I have set promos on Megan particularly that she is so well educated and articulate. That means that she speaks well above some of you, yes.
Pull the audio!
Thank you, fine lady, for your telephone call to us here. You take care of yourself.
Wow. That'll never happen again to me.
Hi, Don. Don's on the phone, guys. Everybody say hi to Dr. Don. Dr. Don. You're the old country DJ in town here. What's up, Dr. Don?
So you guys were talking about the Good Samaritan law in Michigan. Unfortunately, there isn't one.
Oh, really?
So physicians who render aid are held to the same standard as the appropriate medical professional. So in this case, it would be a ER doctor or a trauma surgeon or whatever. So while I have rendered aid both in Michigan and on airplanes, it's a tremendously dangerous situation from a liability standpoint.
Wow. Ohio has one. I did not know that Michigan didn't.
That's interesting. Wow.
No, we don't. Or if we do, it doesn't have any teeth because when you talk to your lawyer, he goes, yeah, don't do that.
Wow.
Wow. Don, have you ever been in a situation where you held back, saying I'm a doctor because you were worried about the liability?
So fortunately, if I've been on the road or something and I see some, usually EMS is already there. I haven't seen something happen right in front of my eyes, but I can't tell you how many times I've been on an airplane and the thing goes, ding, there's a doctor on board. And I'm like, oh, but I'm on vacation.
Terrible. Terrible.
So do you not get up, Don?
If they seek me out, I'll go. And that happened to me once. I was in the very last row of the plane trying to get home from, a long weekend somewhere. I got my head against the bulkhead. I can't recline. And this stewardess comes up to me, flight attendant, and she says, are you a doctor? And I open my eyes and I go, yes. And she goes, well, we have a medical emergency up in first class. Do you mind? And I went up there and I'm like, sure, yeah, okay. And there's a guy seated in the first row window, which means he's basically arm's length away from the door you board the plane on. And he's having a breakdown and he wants to go home. And if he can't, he's going to open the door.
Oh,
son of a bitch.
Which is not exactly what I would call a medical emergency, but I talked to the guy.
Right.
It's clear he hasn't taken his medicine that day, and he's a nice enough guy, but he's about the size of, I don't know, a stereotypical mafioso enforcer. And this is a big dude with the open collar and the gold chain, and I'm thinking, he's going to turn me into carpeting in about 3 seconds. So the flight attendant says, the pilot wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, great. And they hand me the little phone that they do the, announcements on.
Yeah.
And the pilot says, what should we do? And I go, well, medically speaking, I can't really help this guy. And he's big enough to rip this door off its hinges. So maybe we just put the plane down and let him get off. What do you think? And they did.
Wow. So where did you guys land, like halfway home or something? What'd you do?
But we landed in Chicago on our way to Detroit, so we were almost home. But we put it on the ground safely, which was good.
If I were sitting there watching you say this to the guy, I'd kill you because I would risk it. I'd rather risk it than have to sit there and take a 5-hour delay in Chicago because of Tony Soprano wanted to get off the goddamn plane.
Oh my God!
I'm telling you.
Here's the interesting twist. I find out afterwards that this guy's in 1A, right? The guy in 1C is a psychiatrist.
Oh, man. Why did that guy not get up?
Why didn't they know he was the psychiatrist?
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
By the way,
I also got asked.
Yes.
I got Alice to help. I was coming back from California on the red-eye with my wife. Thank goodness my wife was there. And again, they came and got me and said, we have a baby in, 11E that's unconscious.
Yeah.
Baby, unconscious, airplane. Not a really good mix, but
Oh, my
baby
God.
was fine. Baby turned out fine. It was a cool story. After we landed, the lady, they were ethnic Japanese, right?
Don,
They
you're
had
making me not take my
flown
meds.
to Japan
Don.
to meet the family.
All right, Don. Don, enough already. Enough already. Enough. I've heard enough story. Don, thank you, Dr. Don. We love you, Don. Thank you.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Bye. We appreciate it.
Not everyone is good at sneaking around. We're about to prove it. Another world